First, allow me to introduce the team who will be doing the explanations this morning. First, let's start with the ladies. Leandra Schmitz as business developer from LIOF. She will take care of the second part, the grant scheme explanations. Raluca Danila, she is the coordinator of the grant scheme, and she will take care of your difficult questions you might have about the grant scheme. She is the expert on that one. And myself, Luc de Bougnou, I'm a business advisor at Vlaio, an institute in Flanders. So I will take care of the first part of this session. For whom is this information? In fact, so for all SMEs, of course, in the Meuse-Rhine region, but also grant advisors and any other interested parties like research centers, knowledge institutes, etc. So everyone is welcome to join us at this online session for STIPP. A bit about the agenda of today. So I'm going to tell you what is STIPP, why should you participate in STIPP, and what can you expect as support from STIPP, quite important. After that first session of 15 minutes there is also a Q&A session of 15 minutes foreseen. And then the second part, Leandra will take care of, is the SME Grant Scheme, and also about 15 minutes, and then again a Q&A of 15 minutes or longer. And at the end, then of course, it would be interesting to know who is interested in our new STIPP Interreg STIPP program. That about the agenda of today. So what is STIPP? It's an acronym of the SME Transition Innovation Partners Projects. Keep these words in mind because they are quite important and tell, in fact, everything about what's about this new program. So it's an initiative to promote cross-border innovation projects for SMEs and scale-ups. That's for sure. In cooperation with other partners, so-called co-creation, of course. And then we will be looking also at new sustainable partnerships. So it will be not only during this project, but also on the longer term that we will look at the partnerships for the future. And I have some good news, lessons learned from the past to show with you that it really works also on the longer term. And where will this all be happening? In the Meuse-Rhine region. So it's a part of the eastern part of Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium. Which is the home of 280,000 SMEs. So plenty of room to find a partner, I would say. This is more in detail about the Meuse-Rhine region. So the dark blue part is the Meuse-Rhine region, and you can also see which STIPP partners will be responsible. For instance, LIOF is responsible for the province of Limburg, Dutch Limburg. And then we have our partner AGIT and NMWP for a part of North Rhine-Westphalen, region Aachen, and so on, and Rheinland-Pfalz. And then we have our colleagues of Wallonie-Outre-Prodder, who will take care of the province of Liège and the German-speaking part of Belgium. And then we have, last but not least, the province of Belgian-Limburg, where POM Limburg and Vlaio will take care of that province. On the right side, you can see an overview, more detailed, which parts are included in the Meuse-Rhine region. So then you have a good view on where, if your SME is located in one of these regions, then you are a full partner. There are some, of course, some domains, some challenges, societal challenges, which we will be looking at in STIPP. And first of all is the industrial transition. You need to think about Industry 4.0, digitalization, automatization, AI, of course, IoT, etc. So all these projects in this domain are most welcome. Next one is the green transition, circular economy, sustainable use of energy and materials. So these are hot topics, and of course, these projects are also welcome in this STIPP program. And then again, last but not least, our healthcare projects for healthy citizens, personalized healthcare, virtual reality in healthcare, AI diagnostics. Also, these projects are more than welcome in this STIPP project. Now let's have a look on some key factors from the past, where we have some success stories on another cross-border program from Interreg, which is called Crossroads. It started already in 2010, so we have a pretty good view on these projects and leading to these key figures, which prove, in fact, that the formula is working. Now let's apply it to the Meuse-Rhine region. In that Flemish-Dutch border region, we had 144 projects, 370 SMEs participating, of which 96 told us they are quite happy and satisfied about the participation. Two-thirds of the projects resulted in prototypes. And then, as I mentioned before, 60% of the partnerships continued 5 years after the projects into sustainable corporations. So even 5 years after the end of the project, we saw that these partnerships still go on. And then also for the Crossroads Sustainable Energy, we managed to reduce the carbon dioxide with 375,000 tons, which is an equivalent of 10,000 households. So, which is a continuous process, of course, happening every year. Last but not least is also, of course, the return factor. We saw that the return factor is about 10 times the invested ERDF funds 5 years after the project ends. So in terms of extra employment and additional investments, I would say this is really good spent money if I see this return factor. An example in the green transition is a few companies, two Dutch companies, Bioscience and Milvision, joined forces together with a Flemish company, B4 Plastics, to develop and industrialize vegan leather by fermentation of residual vegetable products combined with bioplastics to get a textile which has leather properties. These companies, Bioscience, Milvision, and B4 Plastics, did a pretty good job, and they aim for a yearly production of 50,000 square meters of this vegan leather, which means also more than 5,000 tons of carbon dioxide reduction per year. So I would say this is a good example of how it can work in the future also in the Meuse-Rhine region. Who can benefit of STIPP? SMEs, of course, in the program area. So SMEs are the known definition is enterprises carrying out economic activities less than 250 employees and an annual turnover less than 50 million euros or a balance sheet not exceeding 43 million euros. This SME should not be in difficulties. That's also an important point. And SMEs, younger SMEs, which are less than 3 years on the market, are never in difficulties, are considered as not in difficulties. Important to say is also if the SME is a part of a group, then the complete group structure will be taken into account. Also, SMEs outside the program area, so outside the Meuse-Rhine region, can participate if there's certain knowledge which is really important in the consortium, in the partnership, then they can participate and receive a limited grant, which is 10% of the total project ERDF grant. We will come later to what the grants will be, depending on how many partners are in the partnership, how many regions are involved, and so on. But remember that as well, SMEs in the program area are the full partners. Of course, they can join, but also SMEs outside of the program area can join with a limited grant. Who are not eligible? Well, basically, these are the research and knowledge institutes, large enterprises. They can participate again, but as an unpaid partner, they will not receive a grant, and they can be included as an external service provider based on quotation and invoices, of course. So they are also welcome to join our consortium. Now we come to the real important thing. What do we offer from STIPP to you, to the SMEs? Of course, it starts with the idea. Allow us or use us as a sparring partner to define and to formulate your ideas quite clearly, to support you on the business and innovation development. So this is a quite important step at the beginning of the project, but use our partners, and I'm sure that all our partners in STIPP are willing to help you on this point. The next important point is matchmaking. We will also support you in searching for partners across the border. So based on the partner search form, which you will be asked to fill in, and where you will define the missing competences. And based on these missing competences, which you are looking for, we will distribute this search to all our partners in all the regions, and they will come up with some SMEs to show to you, to make a short list, to show to you which you as a lead partner of the consortium who is initiating the project can choose from these lists of possible partners. We will also facilitate and help you in setting up the first bilateral meetings with them. So all the way you are not alone. Our STIPP partners will join forces with you and to make this consortium happening. Yeah. Also, during the application and project support, before that you enter it in your project application, please consult us first. Ask our help to make the project application. We will help you in crafting this project proposal. That's no problem at all. We will give you constructive feedback, perhaps also some negative feedback if it's not okay. But anyway, we will help you and support you during this phase. And the goal of it is, of course, one of the goals of this is to get a grant for your innovative project. That's for sure. And then during the complete project implementation phase, we will support you, and even beyond that period. So the project phase is about maximum 2 years. So we will support you during those 2 years and even beyond that time. And that, gentlemen, also free of charge. So I would say, what do you have to lose? So we will give you all this support. All our partners will give you this support free of charge. So contact our partners in your regions. So for the Aachen, North Rhine-Westphalen, Rhineland-Palatinate, it's the AGIT NMWP agency. So Ralph and Katrin will support you there. The province of Limburg in the Netherlands, the LIOF agency will support you. So there Martina Leandra will be more than happy to help you. In the province of Belgian Limburg, POM Limburg and Vlaio, meaning my colleagues Christophe and Carmine and myself, will be happy to support you. And then also in the province of Liège and the German-speaking community in Belgium, Wallonie Outre-Prodre will support you. So there our colleagues François and Olivier will be in the seat to help you and support you. So please contact them if you have any further questions, if you want to go, but be assured that we will help you throughout this matchmaking and startup of your project. That's so far the part the first part of the STIPP program. Now it's time to have some questions and answers. So I would say shoot, and we will try to figure out the answers for your questions.
We already have one question in the chat, Luc. It's from Ken Stiles. He asks if government agencies also can be involved. Not sure if you want to answer or Raluca, but
I can try answering this question. The real question is, does this governance structure that you are talking about fit with the SME definition? If it doesn't, if it is under the subordination of a public authority, it is under the control of a state organization or something like that, then I would say it does not, but I do not know the details of this structure. So that's the first thing that you should check. Does it fit the SME definition?
Yeah. So perhaps Ken can answer this question.
Yeah, the second question, if a clinical test center of a hospital can be involved.
I think, yeah, it's up to you, Raluca, but it's the same answer, I think, yeah?
Well, they could be involved if they do not want the funding. It depends on what level of involvement they would like to have in the project. As it was stated before, you have funding partners, not funding partners. So that's a bit the question in this case. But if it is a public, under the control of a public organization and does not have an SME status, then it cannot be granted funding in the scheme.
But it can be involved as a contractor, an external expertise, yeah.
Yeah, subcontracting, yeah.
I just saw a hand, but that one disappeared again, so I will continue with the questions in the chat.
Andrew Dulberg from Alsus had the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just posted it in the chat. I didn't see that there were so many questions in the chat, so I think it would be unfair for me to go first.
No, go ahead. I will take into account which one we didn't have.
Okay, yeah. My question was regarding startups, if there are special rules that apply, and what you would like to see from startups, given they're all differently structured. What would you like to see in the application to overcome the disadvantages of a young company in this application process?
I think that there are not specific rules for startups. Like when it comes to the application form, you need to fulfill the same criteria as all the other SMEs. So basically it's a project. You need to demonstrate that together with your partner, you have the know-how and the means to deliver your objectives. I think what you have to take into account as a startup is that there is a requirement to have a financial report. In your case, if you have not completed the first financial year, you would be required to supply the most recent financial data to see how healthy your organization is from a financial point of view. I think that's the only special requirement that applies to a startup. But for the rest, the conditions are all the same.
And I will also come back to that later. One of the project selection criteria is the quality of the partnership, and it will be assessed the same for a startup or a scale-up. But the quality, what kind of expertise is within the team, and how is the other partner helping the project, that will be assessed. But that doesn't matter if it's a startup or a scale-up. I hope that answered your question, Anna. Yeah, good.
Okay, thanks.
Let me see. Then I was a question from David Silvestre. Can you develop on how research institutions can participate as contractors? Can they answer the calls for expertise? Can you develop on how? I think you want to know more how research institutions can be involved, and I think we already answered that. So they cannot receive a grant, but they can be hired as external expertise by the SMEs. So that means that they will need a quotation and an invoice, so they have to be paid in the end to be eligible for the costs. I'm not sure what you meant with can they answer the calls for expertise. Maybe you can elaborate on that question if it's not already answered.
Yeah, sure. So, because I mean, we already saw, I'm from the University of Liège, by the way. So we already saw passing by from German-Dutch-Belgian, I mean, different like calls from companies, SMEs from other regions, from expertise. Of course, they're looking for SMEs, but we can have, I mean, we have research labs that are working on development that they can have those expertises too, not necessarily an SME, if they can also answer to those calls for expertise as a contractor and not as a partner.
Okay.
That's my question.
Not fully sure if I understand it correctly. So the SME has to apply within the SME grant scheme call. So a research institution cannot do that. They can be involved as a partner in that consortia, but they cannot be apply. Cannot apply.
No, that I understand. But if they, but I mean, they are already like calls for partners from companies from one region looking for partnership from other regions. And if some of this expertise that are looking in companies are also present in our research or development teams, if that's okay, if for instance, those teams in our universities, they reply to those calls, not as a partner, but as a contractor, if they can be proactively position themselves as a contractor.
Yeah, I think that's also depending on the RDA involved and the expertise and how they reach you. But yeah, that's possible. However, and that's also part 2 of the presentation, for the project, there's still a need of 2 SMEs from 2 different member states. So if it's a company from Limburg, Netherlands, Limburg, and a research institute in Wallonia, it is not eligible yet. So there is a need for a second SME. But I will come back to that later in the presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question of Olivier Gramassia. What are the key factors in the projects to be selected and granted? That's within the second part of the presentation, so we will come back to that. Also, the question of Robert Winters is the second part of this presentation. So please feel free to ask again if you don't think it's answered after that part. A question of Parissa Kloss, are the startups also eligible to participate?
Yeah.
Already answered, I think. Startups are eligible. The important thing is that they should fall within the SME definition. Thibaut van Rode, is there a maximum percentage amount for an entity, for example, RTO, to participate as subcontractor in a proposal?
So,
I don't know if Luc wants to answer that one.
I have not really an answer to that one.
It depends on your proposal, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe it helps if I explain the cost options later on, so you have an idea how the budget can be determined.
Feel free. It's just that you sometimes you have this. You can add subcontracting in calls, and sometimes there's a percentage maximum, like 10, 20, 30% to avoid having a proposal constitute of subcontracting, and that gives an indication also of what, let's say, other partners can try to do within the consortium. So I was wondering if you had already fixed the maximum amount or not.
Not a percentage. I think you should take into account, if you use a subcontractor, the rules of procurement, of course. There is a maximum amount of percentage within the partnership, so it depends, I think, also who is paying the subcontractor, and but not a real set amount for a subcontractor, if I'm correct, Raluca.
No, we don't have percentages like that, but I'm not sure if I understood correctly your answer. Like, if an SME wants to do a part of the work, but they would have to subcontract some of this work, you're wanting to know how much of this work, what percentage of this work can be subcontracted. If that's your question, there is no such percentage, but indeed the SME in this case would have to show that they are relevant to do the work, and they can do this work in cooperation with a subcontractor. So I don't know if my explanation clarified part of your question or not.
It's very clear. Your answer is very clear. Thanks.
I see two last questions. One from Wim. Can SMEs obtain an advance payment or part of the committed funding in the project, or do all costs related to the project have to be pre-financed? It's also a question coming up later, but there is an option to have a prepayment in advance, of course, at least when the budget's with it. If you have to ask for it, but there is an option for that. And you can report every 6 months, where you can declare costs as well. So in the end, you can pre-finance your project up to 90%. So hopefully that already answers a bit. And the last question is from Marie. Can you also help with matchmaking for subcontractors? I think the answer is we can help, but our main focus is to match SMEs together to be eligible for the project, of course. However, the partners involved are our regional development agencies. We all have our own ecosystem. So I guess when we know some expertise which is missing in the consortia and it's not found in an SME, we can of course link to a subcontractor, but that will not be our main focus within STIPP. It's really matchmaking between the SMEs. I hope that's answered the questions. Are there more questions already? Otherwise, we will start with the second part. I guess we can start with the second part.
I guess so.
And again, you can ask the questions in between, and we will answer them at the end. Okay. You would see the slides again, if correctly. So I will talk more about the SME Grant Scheme. So Luc already explained how we can support you with an ID formulation towards a project proposal ID. And of course, if you have the project ID, you also want to be able to execute the ID. And then the grant scheme is helpful because it can provide you a little bit of money to execute the project in the end. So I will talk about more what the SME Grant Scheme is. So the goal of the SME Grant Scheme is to find innovative and market-oriented projects with an economic impact on the Meuse-Rhine region. Already explained earlier, but there is a minimum of 2 SMEs that should be involved within the project. And those 2 SMEs should come from 2 different member states, so 2 different countries. So for example, the Netherlands and Belgium. More is possible. So if you have all 3 countries involved, it's even better, because then the economic impact is probably also higher within your project than just with 2 regions. We will work with different calls during the program period, and the first call is already open. It opens on November 21st, and it will close on March 31st at noon. So that's important. It's not full day, but at noon. We have a total budget within this program of 10 million, and within this first call, we opened 2.5 million ERDF to be divided among the projects. I will go into details more on these topics. So the innovative and market-oriented projects, what do we mean with this? So basically, we're looking for projects who already have a proof of concept validated, and then it can go up from validation until the market-ready products. One important thing, if you're a little bit aware of the technology readiness levels, if it's within 4 or 5, meaning that the technology is still in a validation phase, that's okay. But in the end of the project, it should be at least in TRL 6. So it should be demonstrated in a relevant environment. Otherwise, it can go up to 8 or 9, but it should be at least in 6 when the project ends. So that's important to know. The innovation should contribute to societal challenges. Within this first call, it's open for the 3 Luc already explained. So industrial transition, green transformation, and healthier citizens. And we will also assess the impact on those societal challenges. So it will be part of the project assessment. And a project can run up to 24 months. And this is the maximum of a project. So that's also good to take into account. The grant. The grant is 50% of the eligible expenditure. So meaning if you have a budget of 300,000 euros, you can receive up to 150,000 euros. However, the maximums are determined by how much SMEs are involved. And I will go into detail within some few examples. As already explained, when more SMEs are in the consortia, this is a preferred option, meaning that the economic impact on the region will probably be higher. And the maximum grant depends on the composition of the consortia. So you have the total amount of SMEs involved, but we're also looking at how many regions are involved. When there are only 2 regions involved, there's a maximum budget of 150,000 euros per project. And when there are more than 4 regions involved, it can go up to 600,000 euros. That's the total budget per project. You have to take into account that some regions can only have a maximum budget per region. And I will explain this with an example. Because it looks a bit complex, but also during the support we are giving you, we can help you determine which budget is applicable for you. In this example, we have 4 companies. They're coming from 3 countries, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. And it means that there are 3 innovation regions involved. From the Netherlands, that's the south of Netherlands, so Limburg. From Belgium, in this case, it's Wallonia. And from Germany, it's the innovation region, Meuse-Rhine. This means that you're looking at the second line of a total maximum ERDF budget from 300,000 euros. However, we are also looking at the MR program region. And then you can see that there are not 3, but 4 regions involved. It's Limburg, Wallonia, Noord-Rijn-Westfalen, but also Rhineland-Pfalz. This is important because that determines the maximum budget per region. In this case, the maximum project budget is 300,000 euros, and every partner could have a maximum of 100,000 euros. And the second example, it might be a bit more clear what I just explained. In this case, we have 3 companies, 2 2 from Belgium, Wallonia, and 1 from the Netherlands. So this means that you're looking at the first line, meaning a project maximum budget of 150,000 euros. But in this case, we only have 2 MR regions involved, Wallonia and Limburg. This means that the company from Limburg can have a maximum budget of 75,000 euros, but the 2 partners from Wallonia, they have to take into account that they can have both only the maximum of 75,000 euros, meaning they have to split this amount amongst the 2 of them. So it sounds a little bit complicated. It is a little bit complicated, but I hope these examples can give some more insights on how you should calculate the maximum amount. How do you determine the budget? So we're working with cost options. These are the cost options from Interact Meuse-Rhine program. And in this, we have 4 options. They're explained in the cost catalogus. I don't know if... and it's good to think about what kind of project costs you will make within the projects. Is it only focused on staff hours, or do you also have the external costs involved? That determines which cost option for you is the best option. So for this, we took into account option 1 and option 3, because we think these are the most interesting depending on the type of cost you will have. So cost option 1 is mostly interesting when you have much external cost involved. It works with a staff cost where you have to take into account the fixed rates. You will have an overhead of 16.5% of the staff costs, and the external expenses can be real costs. So you can have the full amount of the external cost eligible for the grant within the project budget. However, evidence need to be provided. So that means that you should have the invoices, and it is a little bit more administrative work compared to option 3. Because option 3 works with staff costs, and then you get a standard of 40% on those staff costs, and that's it. You can pay your external costs from that 40%, and it's just a little bit less administrative effort, because you only have to show your staff costs, so your hour registration sheets within the project administration. So a little example, cost option 3, sorry. Lowest administrative effort, and especially interesting when you have mostly staff hours. So in this case, we took a really small project, way too small, but just for the calculation. You work 10 hours. You determine your hourly rate. That's explained in the cost catalogus. It's based on salary ranges. So you look at your salary slip and you can determine which hourly rate you can use. In this case, we use 67 euros. So 10 times 67 times 40% is 938 euros. And of this, you get 50% of the is subsidized. So you get a grant on 50% of this amount. Cost option 1, interesting when you have high external costs. Also, we work 10 hours, but now we also have 50 euros external expertise and 100 euros for the equipment. Now you get the hours, but you get only 16.5% of overhead. So that's 780 euros, plus 150 euros of the real costs of the external expertise, meaning that you will have a total budget of 930 euros, of which 50% is subsidized. So in this case, you don't have enough external expertise to be interesting for cost option 1. So within your project, you should really determine how many external expertise or expenses you are going to make to determine when it would be more interesting to use cost option 1. So when you have your project ID, you have your project consortia, you can start with your application. It's good to know that the application will be digitally. We have a GEMS STIPP e-portal where you can submit online. And this is also the environment where you can report every 6 months. So I already explained you with the questions that a prepayment in advance is an option. but you can also report every 6 months and declare your costs. So for cost option 3, that would mean that you have your time registration sheets every 6 months, and you can declare the cost of this. Project selection process takes up to 12 weeks. Firstly, it will be checked on eligibility and completeness. So are you an SME? Are there at least 2 SMEs involved? Is it non-financial difficulty, etc.? And if that's all okay and you're eligible, the project is eligible, the assessments will be done by an independent expert committee. And within the 12 weeks, you will receive the response if it's granted or not granted. These are the project selection criteria, at least for this call. And I mean, at least for this call, it could be that it's a topic, a specific call, and then we can also assess this extra topic. But these are the main important ones. So we check on innovativeness, the focus on the societal challenges, so the impact on societal challenges. We're looking into the cross-border cooperation and the added value on the region. We're checking the economic impact, and especially this one is the most important element within this call. So this is the criteria with the highest weight. We are looking into the project quality of the partnership. I already explained, so why is partner A working with partner B? So what kind of expertise are they bringing in this project, and why is it important that those are working on this innovation? And the quality of the application, so that's more focused on the project proposal. How are your work packages looking like? What's the budget, and how is it compared with the work packages and the results you are going to deliver in the end? The application is going online via the GEMS STIPP portal, but we have the templates online because that helps in the preparation phase, that you can just fill in a Word document. So I added the link. The slides will be shared, so you can have the link as well. We have a template for the application form, for the SME self-declaration, but also for the partnership agreement, which you need to prepare before you apply. And I think it's important that you connect with your RDA to receive support and to help you with the application. So before you apply, we can help you with all these the preparations for this application. However, please be aware that an application takes time, especially if you do not have a cross-border partner yet. It takes time to find a potential partner, to match the partner, and to make a project proposal. So start and connect early with us. And just a heads up, or at least it's already explained, but the regional development agencies are your first contact point for the projects, for the applications, and to receive support on this. But we also have the team of the fund management team, and they are working on the back in the back office for the grant scheme, and they are available for technical questions regarding your application. So Raluca, you already met, and this is a team of 4, so Mark, Karen, and Nermin. So contact your region. This is already shared. Also, if you have technical questions about your financial difficulty status, the STIPP Grant Scheme team is also available via the following email address. So I'm wondering who's ready to innovate, and just get in touch with us so we can help you with your application and your project. We have a Q&A now.
So can I ask a question?
Sure. I'm not sure if it's Enno or David who's...
David, it's David.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So
then we go to David and then Enno.
Okay. So if you look at the criterion about cross-border cooperation, so look, okay, how well are you cooperating with other countries? Do you only look at this Meuse-Rhine area, so Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, or could that be in, for example, in Spanish cooperation as well?
Good question. The focus of the STIPP program is the impact on the Meuse-Rhine region in the end. So
Okay.
that's the most determining factor. But if you think the Spanish company delivers some expertise we do not have in this region, but which can be really relevant to develop this innovation, then you should really motivate that you decided to a partner outside of the region.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I know.
Oh yeah, thank you. I have one question. You said that co-creation is a big thing here. And the question I have is how the partners have to be involved in the technical development. So does it have to be code development, or is it, for example, possible that one partner has a technical solution that the other is implementing in their value chain and giving feedback for further development to that first partner? Is that something you would be looking for?
So it's more focused on the implementation, so not really research development anymore, or do you think there will be a research part within this, because it's implementation is not really...
Okay, yeah, I see. But the question is, how do you discriminate between the one and the other? What is implementation, and where does development start? So is it that feedback? Is it feedback from the partners, or is that they actually in the end have to produce the stuff themselves, for example, or how do you what's the boundary there?
It's a good question, because I would say if I really make the example more easy, if my company developed innovative solar panels and I will go to partner B and they just put them on the roof, that's no co-development. But if it would be implementation in the car because they have a driving car and that would be a roof solar panel, then it's co-development and you use the innovation of the one company, but there's still some development done in the other company to merge it. So yeah, it's I think without an example, it's really hard to say if it's enough development or not. But I try to give you some feeling.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm looking at Luc. Are there more questions already? I think so, but I lost track.
Maybe, Leandra, we can say a bit about the pre-financing, the percentages, because there was this question in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So basically, immediately after your proposal is approved, you can ask for a 30% pre-financing of the amount. So basically, immediately after approval. And then with every project report that you're going to submit, you will be able to ask for an additional 30%. The only limit that you have to keep in mind is that the program will pre-finance you up to 90% of the value of the ERDF. So you will not be able to go above this point. But unlike other Interreg projects that you might be familiar with, in this grant scheme, we are doing pre-financing.
Thank you.
Okay. And then Simon Virgo had a question about the EU GBER, which applies to the STIPP grant. Does it mean that the grant does not fall under the de minimis rules? So perhaps, Raluca, you could also give an answer to that.
Yeah, the grant scheme doesn't fall under de minimis because we are doing GBER Article 20. So it is the grant itself is already signaled as fitting with the GBER Article 20. So you will be getting this special kind of state aid, let's put it this way, that is allowed. But you don't have to worry about de minimis statements and keeping track of which amounts of de minimis you have received from other programs and so on. Is this clear? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And then Kim van der Heul, who makes up the selection committee, what is the grant percentage?
So we have an independent expert committee, and within this expert committee, there are at least one expert per team per region. So we have 4 regions and 3 teams. So that's a total of 12 experts in this committee. And they're coming from, or they could come from SMEs, from large companies, but also from knowledge institutions. So it's really a mix of people. And the grant percentage is 50%. That's answered, Kim. Then we have a question from Vino, I see. Can an SME participate in multiple STIPP projects? Yes, they can. And if I'm correct, they can participate in up to 3 projects, right, Raluca? Yeah. And then the second question is, can an SME be involved in STIPP while also receiving funding directly from Interreg? Also checking Raluca, but I think yes.
Yes, the answer is yes, but the only thing you have to be aware of is that you will not be doing the exact same thing in each of the projects. So the same goes for the previous question. Yes, you can be involved in up to 3 different projects in STIPP. The condition is that you will not be doing the exact same thing. So it will be different, perhaps variations on the same topic, but not the exact same thing.
Mm.
Okay. And we have a question from Johan. If a startup has an identical twin made of an installation, are you then in TRL 4? I'm not the expert on industrial transition, but maybe Luc can answer this one.
Yeah, no, I have also not really, but we can look it up if a digital twin is made of an installation in which TRL level it falls. If it's 4 or higher, I'm not.
I think the best way, Johan, would be that you send an email to the Regional Development Agency so we can look into more detail what kind of project, what kind of sector this is in, so we can better determine this question. Question: if we organize network events, yes, we will organize some network events. We already had a kickoff in November, and in the beginning of next year, we will organize some events. This could also be some topic-specific events, so we have really like-minded people coming together on the same topic. So please connect with us or look into the website to see the latest events, or if correctly, you will find them also on LinkedIn if you follow one of the partners.
Yeah.
Okay. Still some more questions. What are some good example cases, projects top of mind for STIPP? That's a hard question, but they should at least be involved in the one of the 3 challenges. So industrial transition, green transformation, or healthy citizens. And then the focus should be on innovative and market-oriented projects. So I hope that's a big range, so I cannot really give a good example because it's innovation. Then we have the question, what is the success rate that you forecast for applicants based on previous similar calls? This is the first time STIPP is launched, so we don't have previous similar calls. It's a different region, so it's hard to already say something about a success rate. So sorry for that. But we hope that if we already support you, that of course the success rate is higher, but still I cannot give a percentage, of course. Do we have more questions, Luc?
Yeah, I see also from Anno is similar, where to give an estimation on the acceptance of an application, project application. Well, also there the same advice. We work all together with our partners to support you so that the acceptance of your project application is as high as possible. Of course, the expert committee is an independent committee, but we know pretty well the selection criteria, and we will also focus on these ones before entering the project application to them. So to give you the highest possible success rate on acceptance of the project proposal. And is there more? Could a non-profit organization participate together with an SME? Yeah, also that depends on the non-profit organization status. What is?
That's more, indeed, it should fall within an SME, and I think it's good to take into account what kind of expertise can a non-profit organization give in this consortia, and also take into account that one of the selection criteria, of course, is the economic impact. So I think you should think about how this then works in the collaboration, and if there's still a thing. So if it's an SME and the economic impact is still delivered because of the expertise of the non-profit, it could be an option here.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have from Ken Magen, if a proposal is a technical solution, but it requires cross-border policy or legislation aspects, does that make part of the matchmaking process? Technical solution. I think it might help, of course, that the partners know the local legislations of the countries involved. So yes, this could be a part of the matchmaking process, the selection of your partner in the other region. Does he have that knowledge available or not? But I guess if it's official legislation, all the SMEs in that region will know those aspects.
And it should contribute to the further development of the innovation, then, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then from Johan van Ramdonk, how can out of the region SME enter in the projects? So this is out of the Meuse-Rhine region, an SME would like to participate in a project, I guess. That's how I understand it. Yeah, it should first of all match with an SME within the region, or I don't think it can be a lead partner of the consortium.
Well, there's still a need for 2 SMEs within the program region.
Yeah, so yeah, indeed. So that you will have, but the partner outside the region, can he be a lead partner of the consortium? I don't think so.
No, and please bear in mind the fact that the ERDF, like the financial support available for SMEs outside of the region, is also quite low as compared to SMEs coming from the region. So it also depends whether it is attractive for such an SME to be involved, I don't know, for 10,000-15,000 euros. So be aware of this limitation as well.
I think we're through the questions, Luc.
I think so. Yeah, I don't see any, unless there is someone raising a hand at the moment. No.
I don't see anything.
Oh. Okay. Then I would like to thank you all for your time, your questions. And the best advice I can give you all is, you know now the contacts in your regions or who you can contact. That's really the next step to take. If you are really interested in the STIPP program, please contact us. And from there on, we will take care of your project. And hopefully we will see you on next event. So keep our website in your favorites on your browser, and then you can get all the news on the STIPP program. And anyway, there will be events, so also keep track of our posts on LinkedIn, on social media, and then we will keep in touch in the near future. Yeah, and I all wish you much success to contribute or to participate in our first call till the end of March next year. But please start on time. That's the best advice I can give you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.